And we are back once again for our third show of Sports Smash. And Cassie Landa is actually sick this morning. She has something wrong with her throat. And filling in for her is Dakota. Dakota, what's going on?
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Sports Smash. And we got some college men's Division I ice hockey coming your way. Some scores, some stats, and a whole lot more.
Something strange. We've never ever talked about college hockey, but you know what? We might as well keep the world informed of what it's all about. So let's get to it. Now, Dakota, what do you think of this Northeastern versus Connecticut? UConn. Northeastern versus UConn.
Yeah.
Not a Northeastern. Northeastern.
We've had a couple of those recently, actually. There's some cars still stuck in the snow in some of the streets nearby.
Yeah, including mine. So anyway, let's get to it. Northeastern, not Northeastern, won 6-1 over UConn this past Valentine's Day, and they absolutely destroyed them throughout the entire game. So what do you think of that, Dakota?
Well, I mean, it was a clear wash right there. 6-1. 3 goals in the second period. Connecticut was only able to score a goal in that second period as well. Nothing in the first and third.
Yeah, and you had...
Where was the defense?
Yeah, I know. And you had 2 goals by Adam Reed of Northeastern and Garrett Cocknell. So, I mean, those boys seem like they know what they're doing.
Well, Connecticut doesn't. Maybe they're 9-19 now. I think they had a shape. They have to shape up going into the playoffs in a couple months. Northeastern's looking pretty though with 14-11.
Yeah, and well, let's move on to Cornell versus Harvard, and it ended up in a tie on this wonderful Valentine's Day at 3-3.
So was Valentine's Day wonderful for you?
It was beautiful. It
Yeah.
was great. Actually,
tell me about it.
I don't have a girlfriend, but I did get a big box of chocolates from my mother, and it was pretty good.
I got some truffles.
Must
Some
say.
peanut butter truffles. They're so good. Now Harvard 13-6 coming into this ties it up in the. Oh, actually no, I'm sorry. Cornell tied it up in the third period, scoring 2 goals after being down 2-1 coming out of the second period. Harvard 13-6, just holding off Cornell, who's 10-11. Now it's 3-3. Once the overtime period is over, there's no, continuous overtime or shootout. It just ends as a tie, and both teams get points.
Yeah, no, I must say Cornell did a good job, especially they've been struggling this entire. Harvard's actually a pretty decent team. I mean, with their record, they're one of the best in their division.
Decent. They're 13-6.
Yeah,
like, that's way more
pretty
than
good.
decent.
You gotta say they're pretty good. Now, moving on, we're going to BU and New Hampshire.
Yeah, New Hampshire 11-17. I would definitely consider this an upset. Boston University 19-5 coming out of this game, losing only by 1 goal though. New Hampshire scoring all 4 of their goals in the first and second periods. Boston, however, tried to make it back after being down 4-0 in the second period, 3 goals late in the third, but they couldn't make it back.
And that's why it goes to show you, Dakota, anything can happen in hockey.
Anything can happen. Absolutely.
And moving on to Vermont versus Boston College.
Yeah, the other Boston school in Division I men's hockey definitely did a lot better. 6-5 over Vermont, which is going 17-11 this season. Not much worse than Boston College, which is now 18-10.
Yeah, they seem like a pretty even match, and seems like it was a very good game right to the end. I mean, Vermont actually made a good comeback with 3 goals in that third period. So, and there any go? No.
Well, Austin Cagalosi, 1 goal assist going +1 in the game. Everything seemed pretty spread out between all the teams. No, like, one highlight star on Boston College or Vermont.
Yeah, well, you had Vermont, Mike Paliotta, who had 2 goals. You had Jake Fallon, who had 1 goal. You had Malcolm McKinley, who had 1. And you had Dan Siebel, who had 1. So, overall, it seemed like a team effort. Moving on to Michigan Tech and Alaska Anchorage.
Yeah, University of Alaska Anchorage getting blown out here. 7-16 they were coming into this. Now they're 7-17. They lost 10-0 to Michigan Tech.
Oh my lord!
Which is 24-7 now.
And there was no goals whatsoever in the second period.
Yeah, goals at all. It was a 5-0 game at the end of the first, and then in the third period, Michigan Tech's like, let's just stack it on again. Score another 5 goals.
That's pretty impressive.
For Michigan Tech, there were 2 goals from Malcolm Gould. He went +2, got 4 shots on net, I believe. And everything else was scattered out between the team. For Alaska Anchorage, everyone went negative or neutral.
And for Michigan Tech, you had goals from 8 different players. That's pretty impressive,
yeah.
I must say. Well, I mean, I guess that basically wraps everything up for this week. You think?
Yeah, that was a good chunk of games from this past weekend. Valentine's Day on Saturday, which you gotta. I'm sorry that you don't. You were.
I know, it's okay. It's okay. You know what? It's nice to talk about college hockey because not too many people really talk about it that much.
Yeah, it's not a sport that we definitely talk about here on campus much either because the school doesn't have a team. I don't know why, because there's ice rinks nearby, but
it's cold around here.
And it's very cold around here. I would love to play some hockey
this
past couple of weeks when we haven't had school because of the weather, but but it's definitely good to talk about. I love watching college hockey, and as we get towards the later parts of the season, we're going to definitely see how these teams like Harvard, like Michigan Tech, pull away and try to get those last points to get better seeds in the playoffs.
It most certainly is interesting to see how it winds down towards the end of the season.
Okay, so one last question before we wrap up, or just, I guess one question.
Better be one. Class in 2 minutes.
Oh, man. All right, Frozen Four, top 4 teams in the playoffs. Who would you name out of these teams that we've seen? If you were to say that it would be one, if I told you, hey, all 4 of these,
say Boston College, Boston College, Harvard,
yeah.
Who else?
You gotta put in Michigan Tech. They got that 10-0 win over
Michigan
Alaska.
Tech, and I have to say, I'd say the underdog in that top 5 would be Northeastern.
What if Connecticut just bounces back?
Highly doubt it with that record.
Finds himself. Ooh, the shots, the call-outs.
Well, anyway, that was another edition of Sports Mash here with Dakota and Joe Hall, and we'll see you next time.